Cuba, it's me. Welcome to episode 208 of the W.I.L.L.I.W show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Now today I wanted to talk about daydreaming. I love daydreaming. When I'm having a day at work, pretty much anytime I can that I don't have to concentrate, I daydream and I either think about the cameraman or a lot of times I think about wrestling. I love to think about what I would do if I had like $1 million or just certain scenarios that work themselves out and play out the way I like it. Like, I just love thinking about, okay, if I'm gonna have my last match, and what I would like it to be, and who against, and how everything would be so perfect, and what moves would happen, and how the crowd would react. I just love that kind of stuff. I love uh, thinking like, oh, if I won the lottery and opened my own promotion, and what people would I book? The people that I really care about, the ones that I know are gonna do good performances, and what stories would I tell, and what angles would I run, and what matches would I have, and for certain people that I have a lot of respect for, what would I ask them to do differently? Would I ask this person to play this kind of character? Would I ask this person to change their gear? I just really get into that stuff. I even sometimes daydream about like, oh, if I was in WWE and this and having all the fame and having all the recognition and having my own figure and being in the video game. I just love thinking about wrestling. It consumes me. And I'm sure a lot of people, if you're on my Facebook, you're either family, friend, or somehow involved with wrestling, whether it be a fan or manager, promoter, a referee, or a fellow wrestler. So I'm sure you daydream about that stuff all the time. Like if you're in the gym working out, or in the car, or riding the bus, or going for a bike ride, whatever the case may be, I'm sure you daydream too. I know I certainly do. I love to think about certain scenarios and getting the women that I desired, and the money I wouldn't mind that either. But I never did wrestling for the money. I do wrestling for the love. It's just like asking to be paid to be the father of an amazing cameraman. It's just absurd. But man, there's so many things that go through my head, and I'm like, oh, imagine if this happened, or wrestling here, or wrestling there, or wrestling against so and so. I'm not really gonna go into it. I would love for the viewers to guess what they think I daydream about, and also tell me what they daydream about when it comes to wrestling. Like, do you dream of yourself being a fan at like WrestleMania? Or if you're a wrestler, do you dream of wrestling at WrestleMania? Or maybe that's not for you. Maybe you'd want to be wrestling in Japan in the Tokyo Dome. Or maybe it's just on a smaller scale. A lot of times I just dream of indie wrestling, because I love indie wrestling. It's so intimate, and I just dream of, man, I would love to work for this promotion and this promotion, or just have the respect of everybody, where everyone, whether I could or not, everyone's asking me to be on their promotions, and all the fellow wrestlers are praising me, saying that they want to wrestle me, and all the boys would come up and ask my advice, or like when we planned a match, everyone would want to know exactly how I wanted to do it instead of telling me their ideas. I mean, a lot of times I get to a match and there's some guy that hasn't wrestled nearly as much as me, and he's got millions of ideas of what we should do, and I'm flattered because he's like, oh, I watched you wrestle and I know you could do this and this and this, and like, I'm flattered, but don't you want to hear what I have to say at all? Like, really, like, I also have a match planned, and it's way better, and it makes more sense, and it tells a good story, and I know how my character is and how it would react. But man, daydreaming is one of the best things. It, like, to me, my brain is good at multitasking, so I could be doing something and still thinking of wrestling and coming up with a new move. I love being creative and coming up with new moves. Back in the day, I came up with quite a lot of new moves, and still to this day, I'm always trying to come up with new moves. When I wrestled in Port Colborne, I tried out a couple new moves that one did not go off as good at all. In my head, it was so good. And then another one I did looked amazing, better than I even thought. So I love talking wrestling, but if there's no one there to talk wrestling with, who better to talk wrestling with than myself? I love doing that. I love just going through, man, I can spend hours just sitting there like, man, if I had this, and this is how I would do it, and this is how I would compete with WWE if I started my own promotion, and this is how I would go, and these are the the shows I would run and the venues I would run, and this is how I would attract fans, and this is what I would do differently than any other promotion out there to be my own identity. But as always, on the Willow Show, I love to hear what other people have to say. So tell me, when you daydream about wrestling, what do you daydream about? Because, as always, like or you get a leg drop, comment or you get a clothesline, subscribe or you get a suplex. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling. Cuba!